And I said, don't you remember when we lived in town that year and Uncle Tully and Donnie came over to play with all the little kids' birthday, the Christmas presents of dump trucks and everything. They'd be, Uncle Tully was fat like that, and he would be down on the floor playing with all of these things. And she had no, I said, how pitiful, you don't remember any of those things. Because that's half.
Tully was fat?
Hmm?
Tully was fat?
Uncle Tully.
I never
Daddy's
saw...
brother, my father's brother.
Oh, but
And
you're
my father,
not
too.
your brother.
No, my brother Sandy, and none of them were fat.
Right. But
Tully, Richard, Evan.
So your brother Tully was named after his own Uncle Tully?
Yes.
Oh, like I'm named after Uncle Evan.
Yes.
Yeah, right, I see. What was he like? What was Tully like?
Uncle Tully?
Yeah.
Oh, most delightful person you've ever known in your life.
Really?
He just was wonderful with children. He was a lawyer for the Northern Pacific Railroad, but he would just gather the whole Matamidi together. We'd all go up to his house and all sit around, and he'd play guessing games, and he had questions about that, and then whoever got the right answer, he'd toss them a candy bar. And I was about 4, so I never knew the answer. So every now and then he'd stop and say, and who is the oldest man in the world? And I would to yell, Methuselah, but I call it Methuselah. I'd yell out, I'd get my candy.
Like Jerusalem. Like Jerusalem.
But he played games with us from morning to night, took us on walks on 4th of July. He'd collect all of us and buy up those millions of confetti.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd all grab confetti and we'd walk up and down the shore doing all the trees, and then we'd go down the road.
Putting it in the trees?
Throwing confetti so that every tree was hung with this. Well, of course, the neighbors didn't like it much because it always rained that night on 4th of July and all this wet. But also we were supposed to pick out the most important man in Minnesota. Well, so it was James J. Hill, who was Ann's relative, and the Pope, not the Pope, but the High Priest or whatever it was, and all of these people that were so noted. And so Uncle Tully just bought up every newspaper he could find, and we'd all sit around this table, and because every night it had the thing in of who we voted for, a thing to, you wrote in your name.
The most important man
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You write his name, and then he would send them off. Well, he chose Reuben Phillips, who was our yard man,
Mm-hmm.
to be the most important man. Of course, nobody had ever heard of Reuben Phillips before, but we kept writing, and Uncle Tully would tell us why we wanted him. He would make up everything. Well, finally, he would just run out of why Reuben Phillips was the most important man. So we'd say, Uncle Tully, what should I write down here? And he said, oh, just say he neither spits nor chews, or chews and spits, I guess.
I mean, that's why he's famous?
He just was trying to find something for us to write down.
Right.
So he sent them all in. Finally, a man from the newspaper came out and he said, I'd like to meet this Reuben Phillips. And when he found out who it was, why the thing was over. But he just spent hours with us getting Reuben Phillips the book.
Right.
I mean, he was just full of things like that.
Oh, really? I never heard about him.
Oh, he was the most delightful thing I ever lived. He was very different.
Was he older than your father?
Just a few years younger.
A few years younger.
But entirely different.
A much different person?
Yeah.
When did he die?
Serious. He died of cancer, and I don't know when.
Uh-huh.
Al and I were just talking about how many people in the family died of cancer.
Yeah.
And also how many lived to be 108 and 104. It just depends on what genes you get.
What do you remember about Ma Barker and her boys?
Well, they lived next door to us, and as Mom said, Mrs. Barker was the nicest woman that she would come over and borrow a cup of sugar.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And then some nights, oh, and then when we were all down at the lake, our ball we played with in the lake floated down to Al Barker, or one of them, whichever one it was.
Right.
And he was very nice about throwing it back to us. And they were nice neighbors, but suddenly, one night, all their lights went out, and a car drove up, and we never saw them again.
Right.
They caught them.
Oh, did they?
But then also, Dillinger lived across the street from us.
What, Johnny Dillinger?
Yeah.
We
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
Or an apartment right there.
This
And
was...
one time Sally said, "Mother, come down." We were living in a duplex, and she was on the first floor riding her tricycle on the porch, and said, "Come down, and they're arresting a man down here, or they're trying to catch him," something like that. And I said, "Sally, I'm making 7-minute frosting. I can't." And Dillinger pretended that he was walking into a house, which he didn't know, and we knew the people, and they didn't know Dillinger. But he was trying to pretend to the cops that he lived in that house, and he walked up to the porch and the door, but I guess they got him before then.
Right.
And I don't know. Then they let him get away, and we saw the police chase him. Well, the police were so slow. So that was the time he was caught at all. I don't know when.
No. Well, the reason they were all there is because the governor of Minnesota was allowing all the criminals to all live there.
Yes.
You know.
St. Paul had a
Yeah,
terrible reputation.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
I can't
don't know.
even think
I don't
which
know.
one. You wouldn't remember.
What?
You were.
Al Carpus is it Al Carpus?
Carpus?
Is that Ma Barker's son?
Yeah.
Al Carpus, yeah.
Yeah, it was Carpus and Pretty Boy Floyd. No, I don't know all who lived next door to us, but they were one of our best neighbors. And then they find them in St. Paul too, right across the street from us. One day from the golf course that he had been playing golf with, and poor Mom trying to get lunch all of a sudden for this great friend. He was lived in Delwood, and he was very fancy. And Sandy introduced him. This is Mr. Cowie. This is Samuel Cowie.
I put them all over there already.
And Evan looked up and said, "Him looked like a cow." He was a walking thing.
When Evan was a kid, a child?
Yeah, he was about
out here, and we'll just
him
serve
look.
ourselves
So we
in the kitchen
repeated
and
that
sit
for
on
years.
it.
Him looking
Here's some
like.
extra stuff that's going to go along with it.
I just look back and feel for Mom all that she had.
She had a rough life.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
how she ever stood it up.
Well, that's the way we feel about our mother, because we were terrors as children, and we didn't give her any respect at all. You know,
Yeah,
Betty?
that's how we
because
were.
we didn't know and we did not understand anything about her sickness, so we treated her terrible. You know.
Well, I know it, and your father was so much to blame.
and he was bad. Yeah.
Poor Betty, she led a horrible life after everything had gone her way until right after Smith, when she was taking a secretarial course at Catherine Gibbs,
Yeah.
and that's when she couldn't raise his hand or something. There was one clue that, so she
She
went.
started dropping things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the doctor, and there's something about her mouth too, I think that was hard, but something else. The doctor finally realized it was multiple sclerosis.
Oh, right. Her jaw was tight.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Something like that. And then, of course, it went to her eyes, because her eyes were very weak.
Oh, really?
She had a hard time with her eyes. She were very thick. That's why she couldn't be a doctor,
Uh huh.
because they told her that she could never use the thing you look in.
Oh, the
That's-
microscope?
Yeah.
Microscope, yeah.
So that's when she became she was the one that it tested people's brains about
Oh. Could
their IQs.
could she have been a nurse? Could you have been a nurse?
Yes, but she wasn't that type.
She didn't want to do it.
No.
Right.
She wanted to either be a classical piano player.
Was she a piano player?
Oh, she played the piano just beautifully.
I don't remember.
She was being trained to do that when they told her that her stretch of her hand wasn't big enough.
You can still play it. It doesn't mean.
Well, that's what they told her.
But I have trouble with my
They said
hands,
she
but I
never
play the
could be
guitar.
a great piano player.
Yeah.
because-
But it doesn't mean you should stop though.
Well, she then changed really of trying to be. She still played the piano all the time, but she knew that she wouldn't. They told her she would never be a outstanding one or something like that. She did have kind of short, pudgy hands, if you remember.
I don't remember.
I don't really either, although I can picture her hand, and I can't tell just how pudgy it was. Oh, give me a drink. Now, as Betty coined the phrase, nothing dropped, as we heard this crash in the kitchen. She was out in the kitchen alone doing something, and she called to us, nothing dropped. You meaning nothing broke after
broke.
this crash. So we've always used that now, nothing dropped. Because you crashed your best piano.